Hello, everyone. I hope that people can hear us and see us. I'm Robert Humphries, the part-time director of the Great Plains Welsh Heritage Centre, and this is Riedesel, Laureen Riedesel, sorry, who is a member of the board. And we are going to show you around the Great Plains Welsh Heritage Centre archive, the archive for Welsh North America, and share some of the items that we have in our collections. Now, some of you may know we are hoping to build. We're actually planning to build an addition to our museum, so we can get more of these items out on display for everyone to see. We have here a very special building that was built about a decade ago, and I'm going to just change the view here so that you can see the archive room, which was constructed to be, among other things, tornado-proof. It also is temperature controlled, humidity controlled, and everything here is stored in archival quality boxes and other materials. So I'm just going to give you an overview of our collections here, and then I'll show you some specific items. So, we have a lot of records and items that have been given to us, entrusted to us by national and international Welsh organizations, like, for example, the Welsh National Gymanfa Association. And so we have these items here that we have received over the years. Unfortunately, many Welsh organizations have been declining in membership, and some are no longer functioning. And we have been entrusted with some of the records for safekeeping, and they continue to be an important part of the legacy of Welsh people in North America. And here are some more of those Welsh Society items that we have, collections that we have in our archive. You see the St. David's Welsh Society of Nebraska, the Welsh-American Society of Washington, D.C. You'll also see right here that we have some photographs, some historic photographs. These are actually very much local to the Welsh community in the Wymore, Nebraska area. So, here we have, for instance, Evan Evans, a member of, and here's Jane Hughes, a member of the Hughes family here in Wymore. Robert Hughes, another prominent early settler in this area. So we do have, we have a combination of things that are very local to Nebraska and the Great Plains. Here, for instance, is another marriage certificate from Wymore. You can see the names Griffith Parry and Kate Hughes. And then just walking around, you can probably see here we have some collections of church records. And you will probably notice there's quite a range of locations: Iowa, Nebraska. We have items from California and Missouri as well. And we have some. This is actually a photocopy collection from Pennsylvania as well. But again, things that are important for us to have and preserve in our collections. So I'll be showing you some items specifically, some items close up rather than just these boxes. But this is just to give you an overview of some of the things that we have and how things are preserved.
Here you see that you kept things by name, so it's actual individuals' archival records.
Yes, and so we have been entrusted with a lot of items from personal collections.
And then over here is almost the exact opposite, where it's blankets and shawls, and it's by topic, although obviously they're credited to the individual.
Yes, and so, you know, it's not just documents and books that we have here. We also have a large collection of textiles, clothing, military uniforms. You know, we have some things like the traditional Welsh costumes, blankets, and but also some other unique items, children's clothing. Some of these items are well over 100 years old. This picture here is of Amwel Jones. He was, I believe, the father of one of our founding board members, Berwyn Jones, and this is obviously a picture from the late 19th or early 20th century. And some of you will recognize this landmark in Wales, of course, the Severn Bridge and Tintern Abbey. And here are some more photographs of early settlers in the Wymore, the Bethel Welsh settlement area, specifically south of Wymore. And here's the Lord's Prayer in Welsh. Gweddir arglwydd. So now I'm going to focus on a few specific items and show you some of my favorite items in the collection. It's only a handful. There are really too many for me to share everything that I find particularly interesting or exciting. And you know, they are, I think, representative of the history and the story that we're trying to tell here at the Great Plains Welsh Heritage Centre. And I should say, you know, while there has been a local focus, we are also looking wide with a wider scope as well. We're looking across North America, across the United States, Canada, and really trying to bring sort of bring together a cohesive story of Welsh settlement, the Welsh experience in North America.
Robert, can I say something about that really quickly? When we started, the idea was maybe it'd be the Welsh Center in Nebraska. Then we realized, oh, it could be the Welsh Center, the Great Plains. And then we realized that was just the beginning, that there was this opportunity, and the archive from the beginning, the expectation was that it would be collecting not just local, but things truly regionally, nationally, and internationally.
Yeah, absolutely. So, you know, one of the things that we have, we're very proud of having a collection of a Drych, which of course was the North American Welsh language newspaper. It was published from starting in 1851 in New York City. It eventually moved to Utica, New York, and then was published in a number of other places over the next 150 years or so, until 2003, when it was merged with Ninai, which is the current leading, the current, really the only North American Welsh newspaper. So we have records on microfilm from 1851 up to 1950. And we also then have every issue in paper form from the mid 1950s onwards to the final issues of Drych. One of the we do also have some original print editions from earlier times as well. This is an example of one. This is from 1892, and I will hold it up so that you can see.
Be helpful.
Oh yes, there we go. Thank you, Laureen. So this is a Drych, Newyddiadur Cenedlaethol Cymru America, the national newspaper of the Welsh in America. If you look at the masthead, you can see that it says that it was combined with Banner America, incorporated Banner America, or the flag of or banner of America from Scranton, Pennsylvania, and it says Unoed a Drych 1877, united with a Drych in 1877, and also over here you can see that it was combined with a wasp, or the press, from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, in 1890. The banner, the masthead of a Drych really changes over the course of the 19th and into the 20th century as it was combined with different newspapers that were set up in different Welsh communities, and sort of became the dominant publication. So just to give you a flavor, you can see some of the a flavor of the content in a Drych. You can see here an obituary here for it says Marwolaeth ac Anglad a Parchedig Richard Isaac a'i Briod, the death and funeral of Reverend Richard Isaac and his wife. So you often see obituaries. Of course, that's very useful for genealogy and social history. Over here we have an interesting title: Gwinoedd a Gwirodydd, Tobacco and Cigars. Wines and spirits, tobacco and cigars. So this is a piece that is condemning the consumption of those products, which is very typical of the attitudes of Welsh immigrants and certainly Welsh churches in the 19th century. So this is just one of a handful of original paper copies of a Drych that we have in our collection. Now, looking specifically at the Wymore Welsh community, or I should say specifically Bethel. This is a record book from the date here on this entry is from 1891. You can see this is written in Welsh, and the Bethel Welsh Calvinistic Methodist Church, later the Welsh Presbyterian Church, was located about 5 miles south of the town of Wymore. Today, the church no longer stands. The church closed in around 1960, and unfortunately, because there was concern that they wouldn't be able to maintain the building, and it wasn't really used for any other purpose, the church was demolished at that time. But the cemetery is still there, and you can still visit and see the graves of many of the Welsh settlers who came to Wymore. And so this is one of the record books from the church, one of the earliest surviving ones. These are people, again, who had come to southeastern Nebraska mainly in the 1870s and 1880s. They were coming to take advantage of land that was being made available to them. Now, of course, the reality was that land had originally been the home of indigenous people. Around here, the Oto-Missouri tribe had been living there. It was reservation land that they were rather heavy-handedly forced to relinquish through sale to the government, which then sold the land on to settlers. And of course, at this time in the late 19th century, homesteading was also a way of attracting people to the Great Plains region. So all of these people have arrived in this area very recently at the time of this church record book. And I can try to read you a little bit of just to give you a sample of what they're talking about. Penderfynoed ein bod yn talu $3 yn y mis dros y gaeaf am ofalu am a capel. It was decided that we would pay $3 a month over the winter for taking care of the chapel. penderfynwyd ein bod yn gwneud sylw o aelodau ymadawedig yr eglwys, naill ai bod wedi galw am lythyr neu beidio o agnad nad yw'r eglwys yn dewis cario ymlaen aelodau ag dydd. Wedi ymadael heb wneud cais am lythyrau. That's talking about recognizing paying attention to members who had passed on or had left the church, whether they, it talks about receiving letters, I assume letters of recommendation for membership in other churches. So everything is very, very formal with the Welsh Calvinistic Methodist Church in at Bethel. And actually, here we go. Yes, here we go. Record of members who had left in the year 1892, and you see that that they had trwy lythyr. I assume that they had actually written a letter explaining that they were leaving. Moving on to some other items in our collection. This is one of the earliest photographs we have in our collection. It is, I hope that people can see this really quite striking photograph of a young woman. It comes from the collection of the families of John Parry and William Parry Jones in Utica, New York. They were actually, these two gentlemen were religious scholars who were involved in the start of the Remsen, the famous Welsh stone church in Remsen, New York, which is not too far from Utica. And this type of photograph is called an ambrotype, and it was invented in around in the mid 1850s. So this is clearly a photograph from probably actually before the American Civil War. Unfortunately, I can't say for sure who this individual was, or even if she was actually Welsh. But we do know that it comes from the collection of that family. We also have a couple of these other photographs from that collection, neither of which, again, we can identify. I'm going to put on a glove so I can turn over a couple of photographs for you. So these are two other items, two other images from the collection. We do actually have names of these ladies, and I'm going to very carefully turn these over so I can tell you who this is. So we can see that this is Elizabeth R. Jones, cousin of William P. Jones of Carnarvonshire. And this lady you see here is Miss Elizabeth Jones of Llanbach, I think it's Llanergan, and a cousin of William Parry Jones. Now, this is a Sunday school certificate, and if you look closely, you can see that it was actually issued to a child or a young man in Postville, Nebraska, which is would you say it's what, about 100 miles? 100 miles northwest of where we are here in Wymore, where there was a small Welsh settler community. And you'll notice that this is, entirely in Welsh. It is printed, manufactured in Wales for the Welsh Calvinistic Methodist Church. You can see some of the prominent figures of that denomination, including, if you look up here, you can see Thomas Charles, who was credited as the father of the Welsh Sunday school movement, and also the Bala Theological College. And so you find that people were, of course, maintaining their religious traditions, and this is just an example of that. Even going so far as to import the materials that they needed to carry on those traditions from the home country. This was issued, by the way, in 1916, so certainly at a time when communications and importing items was a little bit easier than it had been in prior decades. Now, I'd like to show you something that is interesting, relates to the Great Plains region specifically, and it is a letter from Emporia, Kansas. Emporia was another area, another town where there was a significant Welsh population in the late 19th century and early 20th century. And this letter was written to the widow of the Reverend David Davies of Oshkosh, Wisconsin. And if you look closely, you can see the letterhead. It's from a Reverend Michael Hughes of the Second Presbyterian Church of Emporia, which clearly had a significant number of Welsh members. And the letterhead is actually, above that, you see Cambro-American Society in Emporia, Kansas. And there's a little bit of Welsh iconography over here. If you look at the eagle, so you see an eagle above a shield, and you see sort of three lines running down from above, which is a symbol associated with the sort of neo-Druidry of Iolo Morgannwg, and of course the Eisteddfod and the Gorsedd, which are of course those bodies created by bodies of bards and druids created by Iolo Morgannwg that was very, very popular among Welsh Americans. And the Cambro-American Society was one of many Welsh American organizations that were established in the 19th century in immigrant communities. The Cambro-American Society had branches in a number of places. Unlike other organizations, they were a little bit more explicitly political in their aims. They wanted to really promote Welsh immigrants and in public life in the United States. This is another of my personal favorites. This medal, I should say not a medal, this is a badge that was worn by a past president of the Cerridwen Lodge of the Order of American True Ivorites. Now, the Ivorites were what was called a friendly society. They began in Wrexham, Wales, in the 1830s, and their goal was to assist workers in times of need. So if somebody couldn't work, because of injury or illness, they could pay into a sort of an insurance scheme that would allow them then to draw on an allowance from the lodge, from the society when they needed it. And so the Ivorites became established in the United States, first in Pittsburgh in 1848, and over the subsequent decades, there were dozens of lodges, of Ivorite lodges founded. They were segregated into men's and women's lodges, Ceridwen. And those of you who know a little bit about Welsh medieval literature and the tale of Taliesin will, of course, recognize Ceridwen from those stories. And the Ceridwen Lodge was located in Rome, New York. And this badge probably dates to the late 19th century. It is interesting that it does say past president in English, but the Ivorites did conduct their business in the Welsh language through most of well into the 20th century. And we have quite an extensive collection of Ivorite materials. The reason for this is that we have a collection that was given to us from the Madoc Lodge in Chicago. There were actually two major Welsh organizations in Chicago. There was the Madoc Lodge of the Ivorites. There was also the Cambrian Benevolent Society, and we also have materials that were donated to us from the Cambrian Benevolent Society of Chicago. And but in the Madoc Lodge items, we have some very unique pieces. For example, this is a ritual book. It tells you how to initiate new members. It tells people. It tells the officers of the lodge, their responsibilities. But the interesting thing about this book is, sometimes they were initially published entirely in Welsh. Then they began to be published in English as well. But this one is published, partially in Welsh and English, but it also includes this code, this secret code, and which makes it a particularly interesting and unique record of Ivorite activities and how seriously they took their rituals and degrees. If you look up down below, you can actually see a handwritten translation of the code, so that you can then read the ritual book. And then we also have the gavel from the lodge. So this was used during the meetings of the Chicago Ivorites. Now, looking again at items from Nebraska, this is something that we have several examples of citizenship and immigration documents. This is a naturalization certificate. Excuse me. That from a gentleman named J.W. Jones, who became a citizen of the United States in 1906, and so you can see that it's actually was printed specifically for Gage County. And then I'd like to share with you a particularly, for me, it's a particularly special document. It's and it's truly unique. It was made in 1898. At some point, it was brought to the United States, but it's originally from Newport in Wales. Newport is my hometown, so it's particularly special to me as I look at it. It was handmade by a Sunday school student at the Ebenezer Chapel in Newport, and beautifully illustrated by hand in watercolors. You can see lots of Welsh iconography, dragons, and you can see the harpist in front of a castle. There's literature seems to be represented by someone who looks suspiciously like Gerald of Wales, Geralt Gymro. We have this sort of Venus de Milo for art, and commerce is represented by a scene which I can only assume is the Newport docks. And again, the title of this one-of-a-kind magazine is The Glowworm. I'm just going to open it very carefully and show you some of the pages inside. This says the popular teacher of class 2, Mr. Morris, apparently. Oops. And I'm just going to show you some of the pages of this remarkable document. Although this is mostly in English, there are some Welsh words here. Gwaed dy groes sy'n codi fyny eidl yn goncrerwr mawr. Neu dy groes sydd yn daroston. Cewri cedwn fydd i lawr. Ffyrdd i lawr. Gadin demlo, awel o galfaria fryn. So they were clearly still here in Newport using the Welsh language for certainly singing in Welsh, even if they weren't using it every day in the Sunday school. This is obviously just sort of
Beautiful.
yes.
Delightful little book. Why did you think this was created?
Well, yes, I think it was created by the Sunday school a Sunday school student. It looks to be a collaborative effort. This is a report about shipping, interestingly enough, and it talks about some disasters at sea, as well as the state of trade at the time. And I wonder if the person who illustrated this went on to a career as a professional illustrator.
Okay.
And here we see it says football. It says Newport people are forgetting what first-class football is like. With the exception of the league match, we have not had the Premier at home since December 27th, and what's more, shall not see them again until February the 12th. The Premiers, I should say. So again, a very unique item. It does have some personal significance to me.
Were you surprised?
I was very, very surprised to find this here, yes. Answers to correspondence. So evidently they must have passed around letters and little notes in the Sunday school, and these are some responses to those.
It's wonderful. Truly one of a kind.
Here's fashions. Fine feathers make fine birds. And here's something about Russian blouses. There we go. And here we go. Here at the end, we have some advertisements or space for advertisements. We see The Glowworm, a monthly magazine printed and published by the Ebenezer Literary Society Limited. And a little advertisement here in the corner, March 1st, St. David's Day. So again, this is one of my favorite pieces in the collection, and for very personal reasons, because I myself come from Newport in Cymru, and you know, this is again the sort of unique and one of a kind item that you won't find anywhere else, and we're very, very fortunate to have it. Now, I wanted to share with you another copy of a Drych. This is from 1958, and it's significant because it shows two very famous Welshmen of from both sides of the Atlantic meeting in Washington D.C. Gwynfor Evans, who was at that time, he was an alderman in, I want to say, Carmarthen, but he was later in 1966 he would be elected as the first member of Parliament for Plaid Cymru in Wales, and John Llewellyn Lewis, the president of the United Mine Workers of America. Now he was a very famous labor leader going back to the 1920s and 30s, and he was of Welsh parentage, I believe, on his father's side. He was actually born in Iowa, so not too far away from where we are in Nebraska. And this is a record of their meeting on the front cover of a Drych. And again, it just goes to show you the range of issues of that newspaper that we have in our collection. Now I'm just going to pause the video for a second and move to a couple of other items. This is a true treasure in our collection. It is the portrait of Benjamin Hughes of Scranton, Pennsylvania. Don't worry, it is not actually resting on the floor. It is on a stand. So it is not sitting on the floor of the archive room here. Benjamin Hughes was an immigrant who came to work in the coal industry. He arrived in the United States in 1848. By the 1890s, he had risen to an upper management role in the coal mine that was operated by one of the major railroad companies in Pennsylvania. And he oversaw about 7,000 workers in Hyde Park, which was an area of Scranton where there were lots of Welsh immigrants. He had the title for a while of Grand President of the Order of American True Ivorites, so the national executive of that organization. And looking in a Drych, I found an article which says that when he stepped down from that role, he was presented with a portrait, and so we have reason to believe that this is that painting that he was given as a gift in 1877. So again, it's a real treasure. It is something that we would love to have on display in our museum. We do not have the space to do so at this time. So we want to get it out there in a place where people can really see it and appreciate it. But it is really just something that it's a real privilege to have this painting in our archive, and hopefully we can get it out where other people can enjoy it as well. So something else that I find particularly interesting is this stick, this sort of walking stick that we don't have very much from the American Civil War, but this is something that was made by a veteran of the Battle of Gettysburg during a trip back to a veteran's trip back to to commemorate the battle in 1893. And you can see that it actually says that it was cut by Elias Evans at Oak Ridge, Gettysburg, July the 3rd, 1893. And so this was his memento of of going back to the place where he had been, a couple of decades earlier as a younger man, as a soldier. I'm just going to show you a couple of other items that we have in our museum, and then I will open up the Zoom for questions. So I did not bring this out of its display case, but this is one of the oldest Bibles we have in our collection. In fact, it is the oldest Bible that we have in our collection. It was published in London in 1717, and it is a Welsh Bible. These were published by an organization, called the Society for Promoting Christian Knowledge, which was founded in 1698, and there was a campaign to publish this edition of the Bible to meet the demand among the Welsh for Bibles in their own language. And some of these were actually sent to Welsh people in North America. They wanted to, particularly in places like Pennsylvania and other colonies in the 18th century. So it's important to note that these early Bibles were printed published in London, or other places in England, because there was no printing and publishing was not allowed in Wales at that time. Not until later in the 18th century was book printing allowed in Wales. So we do have a collection of some items related to Eisteddfodau. Many of you are probably familiar with Eisteddfodau as events which involve competitions, concerts, and a festival of Welsh culture and identity and language. And these were held in Welsh communities across North America for decades. They continue with the North American Festival of Wales. We can actually see here in this box, I'm going to open this up so you get a better view. We have actually a program from the 1893 Eisteddfod that was held in Chicago during the World's Fair that year. And just as another example, here is a program from the Utica Eisteddfod of 1937 in Utica, New York. We also have, and these are two of my favorite items in the collection, these two commemorative spoons that were made for the 1896 Eisteddfod in Denver, Colorado. if you look closely, it actually says Eisteddfod Denver on the ball. And you can see that the Welsh iconography here is the Welsh lady with her tall hat, and below that you can see the some leeks. Oh, and very stereotypically Welsh, I suppose, but it's a again quite a unique item, and it's made. These are silver spoons that were made for that event. So I hope you've enjoyed looking at some of the items in our collection, and I would like to, let's see if I can change the settings here so that people can I don't know if people can unmute themselves. Hello, Susan, I see you.
Hi.
Oh, I can hear you. Good. Okay, we're good then.
Yeah. That was excellent. Thank you so much. It was I just come back from Aberystwyth and had a back of the house tour of the archives there. And so this was an added bonus for me to see yours. And we had a tour through the area where they take especially paper artifacts and clean them and prepare them for storage. Do you do the same thing?
You know, I don't think what we do is we try to make sure that items are stored in obviously archival quality materials. I don't know that cleaning is something that really is an issue for the most part for items that we receive. Occasionally it might be, and that's something. Occasionally there are things that come to us, and we would probably handle that on a piece by piece,
Right.
situational basis.
I was going to mention the map that's over here that we didn't show. That went to the Ford Conservation
That's right.
Center.
Yes. So yes, in fact, there are items we have worked with the Ford Conservation Center in Omaha. So actually, and Laureen is right. I will show you this this map. I had completely forgotten about it. So thank you, Laureen, for.
I love that map. One of the first things I did on the board was get to take that map up there, and
so this was a gift to us from the Puget Sound Welsh Association, and at some point somebody had come into possession of this map of Wales by John Speed in 1610, which some of you have probably seen copies of this map, online or in a book or in maybe even a reproduction. But this is an original.
Wow.
And was published in essentially in an atlas with other maps of other parts of Britain and Europe, and you can see the level of detail and the very these sort of exquisite pictures of various towns. So thank you, Laureen, for reminding me to share this.
my pleasure.
But yes, so this is actually something that we did send to the Ford Conservation Center, so we have people that we can reach out to, partners, who are willing to help us with some of this more challenging preservation work. Does anybody else have any other questions?
I have an observation, which is just like how helpful you were with all your issues of the Drych available when I was doing some work on the Heddwch 9 project. And, you know, this is the joy of having these things available and having someone who's able to make us aware of what you have and share it with us too. I think that was wonderful, and I just wanted to thank you, which is why I'm so happy to see your little home back there, you know, and see everything you have. Gwych, diolch yn fawr.
Yeah. I see a couple of questions. Let's see what we've got here. Oh, why was book printing not allowed in Wales? You know, that was really had a lot to do with the, you know, just with the English state not particularly trusting the Welsh to publish things, you know, that would you know, Wales was at that time, you know, a hotbed of religious movements that were challenging the Anglican Church and challenging the sort of religious orthodoxy of the time. And you know, in the 17th century, you have Baptists and Quakers. In the 18th century, you also have the Methodist revival. So you know, the state wanted to have a tight grip on publishing and printing to prevent those sort of radical religious ideas, or even radical political ideas from being distributed. So that goes a long way to explain the limits on publishing in Wales. There was also a question from Dan Holiday about LGBT materials. We don't really have anything specific to that subject. I would say that is something that might be included in some of the things that we have, but particularly with the time period that we're talking about, you're not going to find much discussion of those matters in the materials that we have in the archive. But that might change as time progresses. Does anybody else have any other questions? Or complaints? I'm willing to take complaints.
I was also wondering how many books you might have on Welsh history. Are you interested in getting more? I'm wondering what to do with some of my books at this point. So maybe we have a chat. So.
Well, you know, that's a good question. We do have a library, and I will try to show you. I will show you the library before I end the Zoom here. But I would say, you know, we are open to discussing accessions and gifts, not just for the archives, but and not just in terms of monetary donations, but also for our library. And but we do have to make sure that we don't have duplicates, and that things are really germane to our mission. But you know, if somebody is interested, if any of you are interested in donating something, you know, please reach out, and we'll consider if it's something that fits in with our collections, and whether we have room for it. You know, this again, that's part of the reason why we want to expand our building too, is so that we have room, space, so that we can you know, we can bring some things out of the archive periodically and put them on display so that everyone can see them. And you know, we'll also have more room in the archive itself. So so you know, please reach out. You know, I'd love to know what you have, and if that's something that we would like, that we would like. I will say that we would love people to come and do more research at our library. And in fact, I will take you to the library right now, so that you can see what we have. I'm turning off the camera because I figure walking around with a camera is a little bit disorienting. So I will just show you the library that we have. And okay, so here we are. Here's our collection. So we have quite, this is just this is literature, but
History's over here.
yes, I'll take you over to show you. So books about Wales. We also have some, again, research materials here, like cemetery records and church histories. Here's biography. And here's the genealogy section, some books specifically about Welsh genealogy and genealogy in general, and how that can be things that could be helpful to people doing that kind of research. Some Welsh language reference. We do have, we actually moved the most of our Welsh language books back into the archive for storage because we found that we thought it would be more useful for people researching in the United States to have access to the English language materials and make sure that we had we were using this space more for the English language materials, but we do have a lot of material in Welsh as well. So here's a section on which is specific to Welsh religious denominations. And this is where we get into some more research material. This is very genealogy focused. We have a lot of family histories that have been donated to us from all over North America. Obviously, a lot of things that are related to the Great Plains in Nebraska, but also other parts of the United States in particular. I would say that another thing to remember is that people moved around, and during the 19th century, people would move from Wales to places like Ohio and Wisconsin, and then come west to Nebraska and other places further west. So when you're looking at Welsh family history in North America, you're not just looking at the history of one place or two places. Sometimes people are moving around and living in multiple places over the course of a lifetime. And this is organized by state. So if somebody wants to do some research, they are absolutely welcome to come here and spend however much time they would like. And again, you'll also see some specific, some history books interspersed with family histories here. This is actually a collection of Welsh books, mostly published right here in the United States. Utica, New York, of course, was a center of Welsh publishing, in addition to the being the home of Drych for decades. And here is our section devoted to Welsh history. So, Aeolus, I don't know that this is really giving you much of a view of what how useful looking at this is right now, but
I think you're just going to have to come visit and see what books I have,
yes.
including my extensive collection of Native American ethnohistory books as well.
Well, that's something that's very interesting to me as well, but not as suitable for our library, but
exactly, but personally for you maybe.
Yeah. But yes, and we have a spare wall here that we don't have any books on. So a couple of years ago at the NAFAO in Lincoln, I wrote this and found the imagery for this exhibit on John Evans, he's the explorer, so to speak, who was looking for the so-called Madogwys, or or Welsh Indians that he believed that were widely believed to be the Mandan people of what is now North Dakota, and so I had put together this. But we have a lot of exhibits like this on our walls. We obviously want to be able to do more things like this and have more space to share these stories. So let's see. I think I've shown everybody quite a lot. I am actually going to close with one other item. Oh, and actually, I'll just show you this doll's house. This is another of our treasures that came to us from a Welshwoman from living in Michigan, and she was given this by her father back in the 1930s, and this was a popular toy. There's a picture of her here. Maya Alsgaard was her name, and you can see her with the house. It was a very popular toy in Britain in the 1930s, and the reason why was it was modeled on this miniature house that was built for the Princesses Elizabeth and Margaret it was actually built in Wales and then sent to Windsor Castle, and was turned into this miniature doll's house by Triang Toys. So again, it's a unique item. It has an interesting story because of who it came from. This lady whose father had bought it for her, actually just before he passed away. And I realized I had not shown you another of my favorites, which is this poster from this print from the 1893 World's Fair Eisteddfod. And it's a delightful collection of Welsh and Welsh-American poets, Oriel a Beirdd, Beirdd Cymru ac America. And so many of these are people whose names I've come across while reading articles in a Drych and other publications from the Welsh in North America. You'll also there are some very famous Welsh people from Wales at the time. We have, for example, right in the middle, this lady that you see here is where is she? There she is. This is Cranogwen, or Sarah Jane Rees, who was recently honored with a statue in her hometown or home village of Llangranog in Ceredigion, and she was, a prominent, a very remarkable Welsh woman. She went to sea with her father, who was a sailor, when she was a teenager. And actually, among her accomplishments was establishing a school for mariners in Wales. She was also an editor. She edited a magazine for women called A Frythones, and was also traveled twice to the United States, giving lectures and speeches, and traveled and visited many Welsh communities in North America. And later in life, she became a campaigner for temperance and prohibition in South Wales. So anyway, I think things are drawing to a close. I hope it hasn't been too random a presentation. It's been a little bit of a walk around and just kind of looking at things this afternoon. And I will again open up and ask if anybody has any questions. Otherwise, I will draw things to a close.
Thank you so much.
Well, you are most welcome. Diolch yn fawr I bawb sydd wedi ymuno heddiw. Thanks to everybody who's joined today, and remember that I please ask everyone to consider giving to us so that we can continue this mission, and also and also build on what we have here, so that we can share more of these stories with people. And not just Welsh people. We don't want to just be speaking to the Welsh community. We want to be speaking to the world at large, and let people know about this amazing history. So diolch yn fawr, and we will have some more presentations coming up in the coming months. On Sunday, November the 2nd at 1 p.m. Central Time. Anastasia Llewellyn from the Ottawa, who is president of the Ottawa Welsh Society, and also a PhD candidate at the University of Ottawa, will be presenting on the Welsh Bible of 1588 and its legacy. So please join us at that time. Diolch yn fawr, pob hwyl.
Diolch yn fawr.
Diolch yn fawr.